There. It is Wednesday, December 30th, last Wednesday of 2015, and also the last comic book day of 2015. Before I start, this is probably going to be a very long video. I only got 8 books today, and 6 of them are DC books. 2 of them are not DC books, but also not Marvel books. There's this weird thing with the comic book distribution tunnels this week where my store got the Marvel books, but then we're told not to sell them because they came a week early, even though they were also on my pull list on Comixology. It was a very weird thing, but either way, this week it's mainly DC and then 2 other books, which I'll get to at the end. But we are starting with the Omega Men, issue number 7. And yeah, this book is very gray. It leaves you very conflicted. So at the end of the last issue, the Omega Men, our protagonists, if not heroes, crashed a spaceship into a building on this planet, on the Citadel, that they are at war with, killing, it says here, 37,000 of the people who live on this planet. And the whole thing is very reminiscent of 9/11. And this whole book has been kind of like this weird, like, it's a story about terrorists. And we're supposed to be on the side of the terrorists. They're our protagonists. They're the people we're following and are kind of rooting for. And this book opens with that group doing an analog to 9/11 and us wanting them to win, to escape. Most of the Omega Men have died, and so we're left with pretty much just Hal and the princess, who are now trying to get off the planet, trying to escape. And it's weird because they're the heroes, right? Like, reading as an audience, we think these are the heroes. This is a Green Lantern, right? And he did a 9/11. Like, that's a vulgar way to put it, but that's what happened. And so it's weird as a reader seeing all these things and realizing, wait, and also as they're escaping, they take time to kind of appreciate the beauty of the city. And it really just drives the point home. This is, to the people in this world, to the people on Citadel, these 2 are terrorists who just killed 37,000 people in a huge city. And now they're trying to escape. So, I mean, that's the meat of it. That's kind of the conceit of this book right now is we're rooting for terrorists. Our heroes are actual legitimate terrorists, and then questioning, like making the viewer question, do we still want to see them win? And it's exciting seeing them try and get off planet and making deals and and selling things and fencing things in order to get off planet and buy a ride and all that. And we also get a cool little tie-in sort of trivia thing with Grayson, the other book that Tom King writes as Hal and Kyle and the princess buy a Hypnos from an alien and then say, well, another Earthling bought Hypnos from me a while ago. So that kind of explains where Hypnos comes from in the Grayson books. And yeah, so it's still exciting watching these 2 escape, and you still want them to escape, but it makes it feel very perverse in a way, which is good. Like, it's a fun story. It's fun to have a book make you question, well, who really are the heroes here? Even if we completely take at face value that the Citadel is evil and they've committed atrocities and war crimes and all that, so is America. And I don't think anyone would say that America really deserved 9/11. I don't think anyone was rooting, oh yeah, the terrorists have a point. But this book puts you on that other side of the line and say, well, these are heroes to some people, or they think what they're doing is somewhat heroic, and they got people rooting for them somewhere. I don't know. It's a weird book. So the Omega Men, definitely a sci-fi superhero story for a post 9/11 world. Next up, we have Wonder Woman, issue 47, which is kind of a disappointment, kind of a do nothing, nowhere going, nothing book. First of all, despite what happens on the cover here, well, not despite what happens on the cover, but this is a Wonder Woman versus Cheetah story. It's a one-shot, but Wonder Woman doesn't wear this costume anymore. Something seems to have happened with the armor costume because she's gone back to the bikini bottom, which is, it's okay. It's just weird how they have the new costume on the cover and then just this whole book she's in the old one. This book concerns Wonder Woman going after Cheetah, who is on Themyscira in order to steal the eye of Antiope, I think. Antiope. Based on, Antigone. I'm thinking it's Antiope. Antiope is the pronunciation. But, so yeah, Cheetah trying to steal a magic thing, Wonder Woman trying to get it back. So she goes into the forest looking for Cheetah, gets distracted when she comes across Anastasios, one of the last living brothers of the Amazons, who is like, I don't forgive you, you weren't here when all the bad shit went down, and she says, I'm sorry, and Anastasios is like, well, I don't forgive you because everyone I know died, which is, kind of reasonable. And then we have a short fight when Wonder Woman finally catches up to Cheetah, and the book ends on the politics of godhood. I'm not joking. The book's ending is very, very unfulfilling. It basically ends with Diana getting a lecture on how the gods work and why she can't continue fighting Cheetah for the last few pages of the book. And then Cheetah's like, oh no, I didn't realize all the complicated internal politics of godhood when taking this crystal thing. I guess I can't do it. Oh well, I'll just put it back. And then it ends, and that's it. And then there's a little wrap up of the moral is always be true to yourself, and it doesn't really fit at all. It's just this is not a good issue. It feels like filler, and it probably is filler, as for I'm guessing trade paperback purposes. But I really want to see an actual new arc. I would like to see this if it actually promised the story of Cheetah stealing a thing and Wonder Woman has to get it back. That would be better. But the Anastasios thing doesn't really go anywhere. That's literally just a distraction. And then the fight against Cheetah, initially is pretty good. It's fun and neat to see these two fight. But the ending is just such a non-thing that it's hard to feel. It's just so disappointing. It's such a letdown that I cannot recommend this book at all. Next up, we have Batman and Robin Eternal, number 13, getting halfway through this weekly story. And this one follows Cassandra Cain as she halo jumps into a giant hole in the ground and finds Mother's nursery, where she's trying to rescue all of the children that Mother has been raising all these years. As she makes her way into the nursery, we are treated to some flashbacks of her childhood. So we see a young Cassie Cain being raised by her father and the architect. I forget her name. The molder, the caretaker, the person that Dick was interrogating in the previous issue. And so we get some flashbacks to her childhood and some really sweet moments where, because she's being taught to be exclusively a killing machine, and in one moment here she asks what two of these other kids are doing. I'll just flip to I think it's one page long. Yeah, here, and it's not even a whole page. It's really sweet though, where she asks what these two people are doing here, and the woman said, the architect, I forget her name, says that the sculptor, that's it, the sculptor, says, oh, they're hugging. It's what you do to show you care for someone. And then Cassandra hugs her and is immediately pushed off, saying, "No, you can never hug anyone. Nobody should see you do that because, everyone will get mad because you're supposed to be a killing machine and not have feelings and whatever." And so that's really sweet. And then the rest of the book is just her breaking into the nursery, running eventually into Orphan, into her father, and they have a fight. And we get a bit more flashbacks. We see how Cassandra first met Batman and their that kind of interaction when she updates him on everything that Mother is doing. So yeah, a very Cassandra-heavy issue, and not a bad one. Seeing more into Cassandra's own kind of origin really does mean something. Really does flesh her out and explain why she's doing what she's doing now. This cover image actually does come up in the book, and it has thematic narrative weight behind it. And when this happens in the book, it's actually really cool and meaningful, which is nice, having that kind of hint on the cover and then having it actually mean something in the pages of the book is really cool. I'm still really liking Batman and Robin Eternal. I mean, these weekly stories are long. They can seem drawn out. But this issue is just a kind of a really neat single issue that, again, details her origin, if you've been wondering some more, and also gets into her first meetings with Batman, and then it continues the main narrative thrust of trying to stop Mother, too. So overall, a good issue that does a little bit of everything that it was supposed to. Next up, we have Justice League issue number 47, part 7 of the Darkseid War. And yeah, I mean, I say this, I think, every issue so far of Darkseid War. This book is just throwing everything onto the wall, just throwing everything that it has at the story. And this is the issue where everything turns to shit. Even more so. Just everything continues to turn even more shitty for everyone. So we begin this book with Green Lantern trying to convince Batman to get off the chair because the chair is driving him crazy, which we kind of know. And Batman's like, "No, not going to do it. You're dumb." But then they get pinged over to, I think it's Metropolis, where Superman and Wonder Woman are in the middle of a fight, and Superman has to try and stop this and Wonder Woman has to try and stop this enraged Superman with her lasso, choosing a pacifist route, and, beat him with love, so to speak. Meanwhile, while that's going on, we also have Big Barda, Scott Free, Power Ring, and Cyborg breaking into Belle Rev in order to ask Ultraman and Superwoman what to do about the Anti-Monitor, because they've faced him before, and they're trying to, they want to save their world, so they're asking the only people on Earth with more information about the Anti-Monitor and maybe how to stop them. And while this happens, everything basically goes to shit. Balthoom, who lives inside Power Ring, kind of stages a mutiny and takes over Jessica Cruz's body. We find out that Superman's power, new power, has even more of a dark side than we've been led to believe. And then, things just continue to go more and more to shit. And I don't want to really spoil everything that happens because it's all kind of, important plot stuff that I don't want to spoil. But yeah, I'm still, this, it's weird because this issue doesn't have as many, big moments in it. It's not the sort of, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening sort of thing that the past few issues have been. But they're clearly going to draw this story out a bit longer, and it doesn't feel like they're wasting time. It feels like they're actually adding new things that that the Justice League will have to deal with to face, and it doesn't feel like, oh, you're just adding a third enemy or something. It's legitimately raising stakes, I feel, and again, just adding more and more things and kind of taking ideas from other places and adding them, again, just throwing kind of every idea that Jeff Johns is having at the wall right now. So yeah, it's a big story, still is, getting bigger, and only, it seems, getting harder for the Justice League. Next up, we have Lois and Clark, issue number 3. And we're kind of getting a little divergent story here. I don't know whether it's going in a different direction but we're introduced to another kind of big villain sort of guy at the beginning. This guy, who is named Blank with a Q-U-E instead of a K. And this is the one villain that Superman has had trouble with. He's he's a psychopath. He's telekinetic. He's psychic. He has all sorts of really weird powers. Really gets into Superman's head, and it gets to the point where Superman flies this guy up into space in order to try and end him forever, basically, in order to try and kill him before realizing that that's not who he is. So he takes mercy and builds a prison especially for this one supervillain who is scarier than any other he's faced on this Earth. After that, we flash to the present, where we have Lois and Clark discussing the fallout of the previous issue, where Lois and John were chased by Intergang, and Superman had to save them. And they discussed what they're going to do now. And mirroring conversations from earlier in this series, Lois tells Clark that she's going to continue her mission. She's going to continue writing this book and exposing Intergang to the world, even though it's putting her in danger. And Clark is like, well, I'm going to let you do that. I have to let you do that. You're my wife. I trust you. You're strong. It's not like I think you're, you can't handle yourself, but I'm going to be looking out for you, which is kind of mirrors what Lois said to Superman when he decided he's going to still be Superman on this Earth. So it's nice that we're getting, just more and more into their relationship and seeing how these two incredibly effective, strong characters play off each other and what their relationship is like. And seeing how they're both so dedicated to justice and all that. And it's sweet. It's good. And then things turn to shit when Superman visits his new Fortress of Solitude. And he has the Iron Giant's head here, which I like. That's kind of a neat nod. And things go to shit when the villain from the first half of this book kind of reemerges in a way. And then... yeah, again, don't want to talk about the ending too much because I like this and I think you should read it and discover it for yourself. This book does have a little bit of everything. It has Superman action, it has things exploding and all that, but it also has the human side of Superman too. So we get, kind of this big fiery explosion fight Superman where he flies a guy into space, and then Superman in a barn, Clark talking to his wife and taking his child to school, or chaperoning his son as his son goes to school on the school bus because they're trying to keep a low profile. But yeah, between this and American Alien, I'm really liking what DC is kind of doing with these not quite canon Superman stories, or not quite main line Superman stories. I think that right now they have a better feel for the character than stuff like Action Comics or the main Superman comic or Superman Wonder Woman. And so I'm glad that we're kind of getting that classic, just good old boy, blue Boy Scout Superman sort of thing right now. Next up, we have Batman Europa, which has, so far, the best Batman Europa cover, issue 3. I'm really enjoying it. It's really cool. There's the Batman made out of Eiffel Towers. And Batman is going to Paris. We start with this... there's just this really beautiful drawing of Notre Dame. And we have a new artist. It's not Jim Lee doing pencils. It is Giuseppe Caminocoli doing the pencils for this one. And the colors, too, by... who did the colors? I'm guessing it's Diego Latorre. Or maybe he did... It says layouts by Giuseppe. I'm not entirely familiar by what all that lingo means. It's not like pencils and colorists like it usually is. It's layouts and art. But anyway, the art in this book is like just from this first real like 2-page thing. It's frenetic. You feel the motion in this. It's wavy. You can feel Batman falling looking at these images. And like the sparks and all that, and you can't really tell what's going on yet. It gets explained later. This is a in medias res story, but we start with Batman falling off of Notre Dame while he gives his kind of his own his own opinion on Paris, and he's a little Batman likes Paris. He has a kind of a crush on it. He says, if I didn't live in Gotham, I'd live here. And then after that, we get the Joker's view on Paris, and Joker just finds all the hypocrisy of Parisian and French culture kind of hilarious. How so about like the Louvre and everything, he says, nothing says Paris like turning an ugly military fortress into one of the world's most beautiful museums while plundering said world to fill it. And how the smartest and most artistic people in Paris hated the Eiffel Tower when it first went up, or the kind of the Moulin Rouge stuff. I couldn't. It's written there pretty much, and I still couldn't remember the Moulin Rouge. And then like as he's narrating, we're also getting a little bit of a 3D effect on the art, which is kind of weird. I don't have any 3D glasses on me. Well, not like red-blue 3D glasses. But I wonder if anyone does, if they'll look at this and what they get out of it. So the story, we're still following Trojan Horse, Joker and Batman teaming up in order to find the guy who gave them this virus thing. And Joker takes a lead on this one, leading Batman through the catacombs of Paris. And we find out that the Joker actually knows a lot more about Paris than Batman does. The Joker has a Parisian fan club, and he knows all the bourgeoisie and the artists and all the high class people in Paris, and they're all big fans of his for some reason. Which is weird, and like this is weird for Batman too, as he's discovering I really don't know anything about Joker or Paris. I guess if all of these people have like this Joker fan club that I didn't know about, and Joker's this huge underground celebrity here. It's super weird. They end up tracking down the Trojan Horse at Notre Dame, which explains why we're there in the beginning, and we finally get a good look at the guy who seems to be an amalgamation of Joker and Batman into this weird Joker-Batman gargoyle-y thing. They have a fight on Notre Dame, and we discover, again, what happens after the little in medias res bit, where Batman is falling off the church. Or is it cathedral? Whatever Notre Dame is. Anyway. Still, I'm liking this book. I'm liking the characterizations of Batman and Joker in this. I like how we are seeing new sides to the Joker, especially, that we haven't seen before. But also, through this book, like this one issue especially, we see Batman kind of learning to trust the Joker. He becomes more and more, like he warms up to being on a team with the Joker, it feels, which is really out of character, like really weird to see. But it doesn't feel... It feels in character the way that this book presents it. It doesn't feel like what's happening? Why is Batman doing this? Like reading the book and then like if you were to read the last page of this issue, like just read the dialogue between Batman and Joker, it'd be unrecognizable. But like seeing how it gets to that point through like this one issue especially, what happens? It really is amazing storytelling. And it's like just again seeing this transformation from sworn arch enemies to people who kind of trust each other. It's weird and it's gratifying, and I'm really liking it. And again, the art in this book is just fantastic at setting a mood and conveying action and just the franticness of all that. And you kind of feel, seeing this through Batman's eyes, you also feel like you're losing it, like you're slipping a bit. Getting weaker and weaker because of this virus inside you. So yeah, everything about Batman Europa issue 3 I kind of really, really enjoy. So pick it up and pick up the previous 2 issues if you haven't already. And that is the last DC book for the week. So we're now moving on to Dynamite and Warren Ellis and James Bond 007, Barger. Well, the last issue was mainly a kind of talky issue, kind of just moving the story along, kind of exposition-y. This issue is mainly a fight in the warehouse, so kind of the complete polar opposite. James Bond goes to the location given to him in the last issue by the doctors in Berlin, and in this issue, at that location, he gets into a shootout because the whole thing was a trap. The actual fight choreography is really great, I feel. The actual pace and layout of the fight. It reminds me a lot of Warren Ellis's earlier work on Moon Knight. That from last year, 2013, I forget exactly when that was. Some time ago. But if you find Warren Ellis's work on Moon Knight, it's very similarly kind of styled fight scenes, where every panel is like a decision. Every panel is a punch or a bullet wound or a bullet getting shot, something like that. And we're seeing a very athletic James Bond too, that we don't really see in the movies all that often, as he's doing somersaults and he's jumping from the racks on this warehouse from one to the other. So it's a really exciting fight scene, but it is just a shootout. That's pretty much all we're getting for the majority of this issue. We're also after that we're introduced to Mr. Masters, who is the main henchman in this story. It seems he's the odd job. He's the Jaws. So he's the big henchman person that James Bond is probably going to fight near the end of this. And he takes out the Berlin team, the Berlin base sort of thing. And we're left to see a bit more about his relationship to the other villains, and that's kind of the main thing. Again, mainly a big shootout, not much otherwise going on. So yeah, again, it's a really good shootout, but it is just a shootout. So that is James Bond Varger number 3. Again, Warren Ellis does this, so he does kind of these slow burn things. It's nice to get a big kind of injection of action, but I really want to see where he goes with issue 4 and see if he can kind of balance the action and the exposition a bit more evenly. And the last issue this week, and the one I really don't want to talk about that much because it's very good, is Welcome Back, issue 4, which was going to be the final issue of this series. It was going to be a 4-issue limited series. It's now an ongoing, so there will be an issue 5 and an issue 6. Maybe an issue 7, but that hasn't been solicited yet. So, but this story will continue from issue 4, which I am glad it is, because I really like the story. I really wanted to see more and more of this world and these characters, and now it looks like we'll be able to. But also, this totally would have worked as a final issue. It works great as the final issue to an arc, but also setting up that, okay, there's gonna be more of this. We're gonna follow these characters, continuing, and they're gonna have more stories and all that, and it's great. So it really works well as both, and if you don't want more of the story, you can stop here, and it's a great ending. That again, it's an ending. It's open-ended because again we're leaving it for more storytelling, but it works as an ending to these 4 issues really well. As for what happens, again, I don't really want to talk about it, and I can't really show many of the pages without spoiling it too much. I'll show this page, I guess, because it's out of context. But we finally get the meeting between Tessa and Molly. That's the issue. I don't want to talk about what happens. I don't want to talk about the setup all that much. It's them saying goodbye to their friends and making sure that their friends and loved ones are safe, and just before this point, it's just these two preparing to meet each other and getting all their last, all of their loose ends tied. And then they meet and they fight, and yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much because the ending again is fantastic, and the way that it builds up, and just like in this one issue, the way that they like lead into that ending is fantastic, and um, I don't want to say like completely unexpected, but it is a twist. It's not the ending that you got into issue one expecting. I mean, it's that confrontation. It is the hero finally meeting the villain. You know, the mouse meeting the cat, the hunter meeting the hunted, prey, predator. That whole thing, like that, finally happens, and we get to see the fallout of that. But the actual resolution is it's just fantastic. The way that it ends this story, it ends these four issues, but also opens up so many other opportunities for issue 5, 6, and going forward is amazing. I think this is all being collected in trade in like February something. So if you want to catch up, like you can buy this just as a 4-issue trade, and it tells a really great story on its own. And I also think that the ending will leave you excited to see what these characters are going to do, where the story is going to take us in the future, and just exploring this world and this war between the sequels and all that. It's really fantastic. I really enjoyed Welcome Back, and I can't wait to pick up issue 5, which I'm glad we're going to get in the first place. And that is it for this week in comic books. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like this video, subscribe. Any comments, book recommendations, anything you want to talk about really related to comic books, please leave them in the comments below. I did a video that I put up earlier this week where I ranked every film movie I saw in 2015 in order. I saw 27 movies, and if you want my opinion on all 27 of them, from worst to best, I put that video up earlier. And if you like movies and you like my opinions on things, please check that one out. It's about as long as this video, so if you can, sit through all of this, you can probably sit through the movie reviews, and that's all like scripted, so I'm on point and not rambly on it, so it should be even better. And but yeah, whether you decide to watch that one or not, whether you decide to subscribe or not, or like whatever you decide to do, if you've made it to this point, I want to thank you for making it to this point, for watching this video, and I do hope that you will join me next week for some more comic book reviews, or more movie reviews if you do check out that video and like it. Thanks.